Welcome back to Cookery with Dr. Hussain. Today I'm going to be making an apple and cinnamon loaf. If you would like to join me, you will need... To make an apple and cinnamon loaf, you will need 65 grams of light brown sugar, 150 grams of caster sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 115 grams of margarine or butter if you prefer, 2 large eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 210 grams of plain flour, 1 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 125 millilitres of oat milk or any other milk if you prefer, and 1 apple. You will also require 1 loaf tin, and you will need to preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius. This recipe is vegetarian and dairy-free friendly. So your first job is to take your loaf tin, and you want to get some butter or margarine, whatever you're using, and just wipe it all the way around, and on the bottom just to grease the tin so that your loaf won't stick to it and be easy to get out later. So I've added my 150 grams of caster sugar into my bowl, along with my 115 grams of margarine. Obviously, if you follow my recipes, you'll know we have a dairy allergy, so we use margarine, but you can use butter if you wish. And I'm now going to give this a bit of a mix. So this has been mixing for 3 to 4 minutes now. As you can see, it's all mixed together, so we're ready for the next step. Our next job is to crack the eggs and then add the vanilla extract. So just crack the eggs into the bowl. If you're a novice at this, you've not done it before, don't worry if you get a bit of shell in there, it's absolutely fine. You get the hang of it eventually. So I've added my 2 eggs. I'm just going to give them a slight whisk with a fork, and then I'm going to add my 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Another half. There we go, and I'm just going to give that a stir. This will help the loaf to not have a eggy smell. I'm now going to add the egg and vanilla extract mixture to the sugar and margarine mixture in small steps, allowing it to incorporate each time. As you can see, the ingredients have come together nicely, so we are ready to add the flour. I have my flour measured out into a bowl here. I'm now going to add my 1 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder. So full one and then another 3/4. I'm going to give that a quick gentle stir, and then I'm going to start adding it to the egg, sugar and margarine mixture. So just a little bit at a time. Allow it to stir in and combine, and then keep going until you've added all the flour. That is now all incorporated, so it's ready for the milk. I have measured out my 125 millilitres of milk, and I'm now going to slowly add it to my mixture. The milk has been mixed in, the batter looks perfect, nice and silky smooth, and it's ready for the next step. So there's 2 more jobs to do before we're ready to put the loaf into the oven. Firstly, you need to measure out the light brown sugar, so I've got 65 grams in there, and I'm then going to add the cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon into this bowl. There we go, give it a mix. Okay, final step is to peel your apple. The reason we don't want to peel the apple too soon is what happens to an apple if you leave it in the air. It goes brown, and that's by a process known as oxidation. Unfortunately, we don't want brown looking apples in our loaf, so what we're going to do is we're going to peel the apple and then we will add it straight away. So once you've peeled your apple, give it a quick rinse, and then we're ready to cut. So I'm going to cut it into half, cut it into quarters. I'm going to very carefully lay it on its side and take the centre out. If you're younger, you may need an adult to supervise or to do this for you. Just be very careful with the knife. Once you have the core taken out, you can then cut them. So I'm going to cut them again into 2, and then each part I'm going to cut into 4. So the pieces are about this size, very small piece, but not too small because you don't want them to disappear in your loaf. You want to be able to taste apple as you bite into your bites. This one can go into 3. Okay, it's ready for our loaf. So we are ready to assemble for the oven. So I've got my greased loaf tin from earlier. What we're going to do is we're going to add half of our mixture, the loaf mixture that we've prepared, into this tin. So you just want to put it in almost half. Don't worry if it's not precisely half and you add a little bit more, it's fine. But I'm going to show you why we're adding just half for now. Okay, so add it, make sure it goes all the way to the corners, and then what we're going to do is we're going to be a little bit sneaky. So to make sure our apples go in well, we're going to take half our apple and we're going to add it at this point. Okay, so you want to push it right into the batter, and this way you'll make sure that you've got apple throughout your loaf. Because if you mixed it in and then poured it all in, you probably find you've got some bits with lots of apple and other bits with no apple, and we don't want that. So a few more pieces. Okay, and then to ensure the cinnamon mixes well with the apple, we're going to add that now. So I'm just going to really push those right in to the batter, and then I'm going to add half of our cinnamon and sugar mixture. So make sure it's mixed well, and then you can squash it down just to make sure you get rid of any big lumps. And then all you need to do is sprinkle. Now it's actually easier to sprinkle with your fingers. So make sure your fingers are dry. I'm going to dry mine. And then once they're dry, you take your sugar and sprinkle it over the top. So this is the cinnamon and sugar mixture. And we want to use about half, so we've got quite a lot here. Nice crisp taste that mixes in. You'll have a nice cinnamony taste with your apple, which is what we want. There we go, that's about half. I'm happy with that. You can just move it around if you need to. Just careful not to stick your fingers into the batter of the cake. And there we are ready to add some more. And this is a great recipe because it does contain apple, so apples are very good for you. They contain vitamins and minerals and fibre, so always good to include one of your 5 a day in your cakes. Okay, so just add the rest of it, give it a good scooping out from the bowl, make sure we get all of it before we get someone to lick the bowl. And there we go, I've got it all out of there. I'm just going to again make sure it goes into all the corners, move it around. Okay, and now we're ready to add more apple. So it's time to add the rest of the apple. So make sure you push it right in. And space it out so you'll get a little bit of apple in each slice when you cut it later. And then we're going to sprinkle the rest of the brown sugar and cinnamon mixture, and because it's on the top, when it cooks in the oven you'll end up with a nice crispy top, which will be delicious as well. So here we go, that's all my apple gone in, brilliant. And now make sure it's squashed all the way down before you add your before you add your sugar mixture. And then again, this needs to be sprinkled all over evenly, and then this is going to go into an oven 180 degrees Celsius for approximately 45 minutes, and then we're going to check it. We'll do the skewer test, put a skewer in and see if it comes out clean, and we need to vary that depending on your oven. So we want it golden brown on top and cooked all the way through. Spread it out over the top. Make sure all the cake mixture's covered. There we go. Just give the sides a bit of a clean, and then we are ready for the oven. It has been 45 minutes, so I'm now going to do the skewer test. So I've got a skewer and I'm just going to put it in the cake, and if it's cooked, it should come out clean. As you can see, there is a small amount of batter mixture still on there, so therefore I'm going to give it another 5 more minutes. 5 minutes has now passed, so I'm going to try the skewer test again. See, that skewer has come out clean, so it's time to take the loaf out of the oven. So make sure you get an adult to help you if you need to. There we go, you can see that is lovely and golden brown. It's got a lovely crispy top. I'm now going to leave that to cool for 10 minutes before turning it out.